Right now, before we even get into numbers, rules, or government language, I want you to pause for 1 second and think about this. Your next Social Security check isn't just a payment. For millions of Americans, it's the difference between calm and panic, between groceries and skipping meals, between helping family and falling behind. And as February 2026 approaches, something important is happening behind the scenes that directly affects you, your family, and your wallet, whether you're already receiving Social Security or planning to depend on it one day. This isn't about politics. This isn't about headlines that disappear tomorrow. This is about real life. Rent, utilities, medicine, gas, food, the things that don't wait. And right now, Social Security rules are shifting. Not all at once, not with flashing warning signs, but quietly, steadily, and in ways that could change how much money reaches your bank account and when it arrives. Many Americans assume Social Security is set in stone. Same rules, same system, same expectations. But that's not how it works anymore. Each year brings adjustments, reviews, enforcement changes, and new interpretations of old rules. February 2026 is a key point in that timeline, and most people won't see it coming until it affects them directly. That's why this video matters. Not tomorrow, not next year, right now. Because the people who understand the changes early are the ones who avoid surprises later. And the people who ignore it, they're often the ones asking, why did my check change? Or why wasn't I warned? By the end of this video, you'll understand what's shifting, why it matters, and how to protect yourself. Stay with me, because what comes next could affect your financial security for years to come. Why? February 2026 is a turning point. February 2026 isn't random. It's not just another month on the calendar. It represents a point where multiple Social Security processes intersect: cost reviews, eligibility enforcement, income tracking updates, and policy adjustments that have been building for years. Think of it like pressure building behind a wall. You don't hear it. You don't see it. But once it releases, the impact is immediate. One of the biggest misunderstandings Americans have is believing Social Security changes only happen when Congress passes a big law. In reality, many of the most impactful changes happen through administrative updates. These include how income is counted, how benefits are reviewed, how overpayments are handled, and how eligibility is verified. By February 2026, several of these systems are expected to be fully active at the same time. That matters because when systems change, enforcement changes, reviews increase, notices go out, and for some people, benefits shift, sometimes temporarily, sometimes permanently. If you're working while collecting benefits, this matters. If you help support family members, this matters. If you rely on Social Security as your main or only income, this matters even more. What makes this moment especially important is timing. February comes right after the start of the year, when income thresholds reset, reporting periods update, and benefit calculations reflect the latest data. That means February is often when people first notice something is different. Some will see increases, some will see adjustments, others may get letters asking for clarification, verification, or action. And those letters, they're easy to ignore, until ignoring them costs you money. This is why staying informed now is not optional. It's protective, it's proactive, and it gives you control in a system that can otherwise feel overwhelming. How rule changes actually affect your check. Let's make this simple, because Social Security language is often confusing on purpose. When rules change, it doesn't always mean your base benefit disappears or suddenly doubles. Most of the time, the impact shows up in how your benefit is calculated, reviewed, or adjusted over time. For example, changes in income reporting rules can affect people who work part-time, freelance, or pick up seasonal income. Even small earnings can now be detected more quickly through updated data sharing systems. That doesn't mean working is bad, but it does mean accuracy matters more than ever. There are also changes in how benefits are reviewed for eligibility. Reviews aren't new, but they're becoming more frequent and more automated. That means fewer human delays and faster decisions. Good if everything is correct, stressful if something isn't. Another major factor is how overpayments are handled. If the system determines you were paid too much at any point, even years ago, February 2026 could bring stricter recovery processes. That doesn't always mean money is taken immediately, but it does mean communication becomes critical. For families, survivor benefits and dependent benefits can also be affected by rule interpretations. Small details, like living arrangements or income changes, can now trigger reviews faster than before. The key takeaway here is this: Social Security is becoming more precise, more data-driven, and less forgiving of missing information. That's not meant to scare you. It's meant to prepare you. When you understand the rules, you can work within them. When you don't, the system works without you. What this means for retirees right now. If you're already retired and receiving Social Security, you might be thinking, I'm already in the system, I'm safe. And while you may be more protected than new applicants, you're not immune to changes. February 2026 could bring shifts in how benefits are reviewed annually. That includes verifying continued eligibility, income accuracy, and household status. For many retirees, this won't change anything. But for some, it could result in notices, questions, or requests for documentation. This is especially important if your financial situation has changed recently. Maybe you sold property, maybe you took on part-time work, maybe a spouse passed away or moved. These life events matter more than people realize, because Social Security calculations are deeply tied to circumstances. Another area retirees should pay attention to is deductions. Medicare premiums, for example, can affect your net Social Security payment. Changes in how those premiums are calculated or applied can make your check look smaller, even if your base benefit stayed the same. The biggest risk for retirees isn't losing benefits overnight. It's being unprepared for adjustments and not understanding why something changed. That confusion creates fear. and fear leads to bad decisions. Knowledge removes that fear, and that's why staying informed right now gives you peace later. Workers and future retirees, this affects you too. If you're still working, this video is just as much for you, maybe even more. Because the rules being reinforced in February 2026 don't just affect current beneficiaries. They shape the system you'll rely on later. Earnings records matter. Reporting accuracy matters. The way your income is tracked today affects what you receive tomorrow. And with more advanced systems in place, mistakes don't disappear. They follow you. Many Americans assume they'll fix it later. But later often comes with penalties, delays, or lower benefits. Understanding how Social Security is evolving now allows you to make smarter decisions while you still have time to adjust. This includes when you plan to claim benefits, how long you plan to work, and how additional income could affect your future payments. The earlier you understand the rules, the more options you have. And options mean security. Why so many Americans feel caught off guard? Here's the truth. No one likes to say out loud. Social Security doesn't always communicate changes clearly. Letters are dense, language is technical, and most people don't read every notice until something goes wrong. That's why so many Americans feel blindsided, not because the rules were secret, but because they were buried. February 2026 could be one of those moments where people say, I wish I had known sooner. This video exists, so you're not one of them. What you can do right now to protect yourself. You don't need to panic. You don't need to make drastic changes, but you do need to stay alert. Check your records, keep documentation, report changes accurately, read notices carefully. These small actions make a massive difference. Staying informed isn't stressful. Being unprepared is. How this connects to the bigger picture Social Security is evolving because America is changing. More retirees, longer lifespans, different work patterns. The system is adapting, and adaptation always brings change. Understanding the bigger picture helps you see these updates not as threats, but as signals. The emotional reality, why this matters so much. This isn't about numbers on a screen. It's about dignity, stability, peace of mind. Social Security represents a promise, and knowing how to protect your part of that promise matters. The hidden details. Most people miss until it's too late. Here's something most Americans don't realize until it hits them personally. Social Security changes don't usually announce themselves with bold headlines or emergency alerts. They show up quietly, in a letter you almost toss, in a number that looks slightly different, in a payment that arrives but feels off. And by February 2026, those small details are going to matter more than ever. One of the biggest hidden factors is how tightly connected Social Security has become to other federal systems. Income data, tax records, employment history, and benefit eligibility are now being cross-checked faster and more often. That means errors don't stay hidden. If something doesn't match, the system doesn't wait years anymore. It reacts. For you, this means accuracy is no longer optional. Something as simple as forgetting to report a short-term job, a side gig, or a temporary change in income can trigger a review. And reviews aren't always quick or stress-free. They can freeze payments, delay adjustments, or lead to confusing back-and-forth communication that leaves families anxious. Another overlooked detail is timing. February is when many back-end updates take effect after year-end data is finalized. That's when recalculations happen. That's when eligibility is reassessed. That's when people start asking, why now? And the truth is, it didn't start in February. It started months earlier. February is just when the impact becomes visible. This is why understanding the system before it reacts is so powerful. When you know what's being watched, what's being updated, and what's being verified, you stop being surprised and start being prepared. Because the people who feel blindsided aren't careless. They're uninformed. And information is something you can change starting today. How these changes affect households, not just individuals. Social Security doesn't exist in a vacuum. It doesn't just affect one person. It affects entire households, spouses, children, caregivers, and even extended family members who rely on that income indirectly. And February 2026 rule enforcement makes that reality more important than ever. If you share expenses with someone receiving Social Security, changes to their benefit affect you too. If you help manage finances for a parent or grandparent, you're part of this system whether you want to be or not. If your household depends on multiple income sources, even small adjustments can throw everything off balance. One overlooked area is household composition. Who lives with you? Who depends on you? Who contributes income? These details can influence benefits in ways people don't expect. Updated verification processes are paying closer attention to these dynamics, not to punish families, but to ensure eligibility rules are being applied correctly. But here's the problem. Real life is messy. Families change, situations evolve, and government systems don't always keep up unless they're told. That's why February 2026 could bring questions to households that haven't changed anything recently, but look different on paper. And when those questions arrive, how quickly and clearly you respond matters. This isn't just about paperwork, it's about stability. When households lose predictability, stress rises, bills don't pause, emergencies don't wait, and uncertainty spreads fast. The households that stay informed, organized, and proactive are the ones that maintain control. Everyone else is forced into reaction mode, and reaction mode is expensive, emotionally and financially. The psychological impact no one talks about. Let's talk about something rarely mentioned in official discussions, the emotional weight of Social Security uncertainty. For millions of Americans, this program isn't just income, it's reassurance. It's the feeling that after decades of work, there's something solid to stand on. When rules change, even subtly, that reassurance can crack. People start checking their bank accounts more often, they delay spending, they worry about the future. They feel like the ground under them isn't as stable as it once was, and that stress doesn't stay contained. It affects health, relationships, and decision making. February 2026 represents a moment where that psychological pressure could increase for people who don't understand what's happening. Confusion breeds fear, fear breeds mistrust, and mistrust leads people to make choices that hurt them long term. But knowledge flips that script. When you understand why something is happening, what is changing, and how it affects you, the fear loses its grip. You regain confidence. You stop imagining worst-case scenarios. You focus on what you can control. That's why videos like this matter, not just for information, but for peace of mind, because stability isn't just about money. It's about knowing where you stand. What staying informed really means in 2026. Staying informed doesn't mean reading every government document or memorizing policy language. It means knowing where to look, what to pay attention to, and when to act. In 2026, information moves fast, but confusion moves faster. Headlines exaggerate, rumors spread, fear travels quicker than facts, and Social Security misinformation can cost real money. Staying informed means following reliable updates. It means understanding patterns instead of reacting to panic. It means knowing that not every change is bad, but every change deserves attention. Most importantly, it means not assuming someone else will warn me, because by the time a change becomes obvious, it's often already in effect. The people who thrive financially aren't the ones with the highest income. They're the ones with the clearest understanding of the systems they depend on. Why your future self needs you to care now. Imagine yourself 1 year from now, or 5, or 10. Imagine looking back at this moment, February 2026 approaching, and knowing you paid attention when it reminds mattered. Your future self depends on the choices you make today, the awareness you build now, the questions you ask, the updates you follow. Social Security isn't just a program, it's a lifeline for millions of families. And lifelines only work when you know how to hold on. This channel exists so you don't face these changes alone. So you're not guessing. So you're not reacting too late. If protecting your future matters, if protecting your family matters, then staying connected, staying informed, and staying prepared isn't optional, it's essential. And this isn't the end of the story. February 2026 is just one chapter. The next update could matter even more. Stay with us, stay ready, and stay informed, because your financial future is worth it. Worth